Yates, you're in the right place. You're on my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of progress. A lot of us here, most of us, we want to get better every day in every way than we were yesterday. We're just into constant and never-ending improvement if we can. And it requires our attention. Hey, everybody, I'm in Cocoa Beach this morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, Cocoa Beach at the dermatologist, and wait for the thousands of people who are going to jump on here, gather in. Cocoa Beach is it's a beautiful little city, a lot different than Cocoa Village. Cocoa Beach is on the Barrier Island side. Cocoa Village is on the mainland. Cocoa Village does have, it's an old world look to it, and it does have touristy places. They have a nice village theater there that's really pretty big. But Cocoa Beach is definitely a lot of touristy stuff. Ron John's famous surf shop and all these places. There's actually some historical sites here where they talk about I Dream of Jeannie, right? In the show I Dream of Jeannie, if you remember that, with Barbara Eden, they talked about, they were supposedly living in Cocoa Beach because he was part of the NASA aerospace program, right? And so the colonel, the commander, and all those people, because that's where it was taking place in the story. But they didn't really film here. It was filmed in Hollywood. But they did have B-roll from Cocoa Beach. And so there's actually some places, some streets here called, I Dream of Jeannie Lane or whatever. But it's not really where the filming took place. The story took place, but the actual filming was not here. But they did film some B-roll background shots of NASA and in the area. So Cocoa Beach. Oh, and there's a statue of Kelly Slater, one of the most famous surfers ever. And this is apparently where he grew up. And so there's a lot of, even in front of Ron John's surf shop, there's a statue of Kelly Slater, right? Famous surfer. So I'm here at Cocoa Beach for one reason only today. And that's going to be part of the message. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, leave a comment where you're at. I'm in Cocoa Beach. I am seeing my dermatologist today. Listen, part of our getting better every day in every way is a responsibility that we need to take action on. I know some people that I know don't take action on it because of financial reasons, because they don't have good health insurance. I'm blessed that I do have good health insurance, so I keep up on my skin care. My uncle died of melanoma. I think near the end there in his 87th year, he just didn't keep up on it. He decided to let some stuff go, and he died of it. But that was his choice. But I keep up on it. I had a melanoma on my back. Good morning. Hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I know you're here. Glad you're here. So you got to keep up on your skincare, dermatology, right? If you haven't already, start doing it. I don't care if you're only 30, 40 years old. Get checked. If you're 30, 40 and that young, I guess you could do it once a year, every couple of years. But definitely get checked for it. As you get older, it's important to check it much more frequently. I had a melanoma, so for 2 years, I had to go every 3 months. That's not a basal cell. It's not a whatever the other one is, squamous cell. It's no, melanoma is the one that kills you if you don't watch it. So you got to keep up. Part of my encouragement to you is living a great life is we got to keep up on our skincare, right? Doctor and dentist and eye exam. And so today I'm taking care of my dermatologist. So I had a couple froze spots. They freeze a couple of the precancerous spots. It doesn't look good as it heals, but it usually takes care of it before it becomes a basal cell skin cancer. And then I had a biopsy on my leg. They took a chunk out of there just to biopsy it that she thinks might be a basal cell, which is something you can take care of. Doesn't normally kill you, but any of these things, if you let them go, they can kill you. So I want to encourage you today. Hey, you're in the right spot, everybody. Part of being and taking control of what we can control and what we can't control is really take care of our doctor's appointments, right? Dentistry is so important. Keep a healthy mouth dentistry. You'd be surprised how much tooth decay and those things can actually get into your bloodstream and lead to terrible stuff. Okay, I know it's not a lot of positivity, but it really is. It really is motivating, and it's positivity. Part of the greatest philosophy you can adopt in life is focusing on what you can control and not spending so much time on what you can't control, and knowing the difference, having wisdom to know the difference. I think that's pretty much the philosophy of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So we can adopt that same philosophy. So taking care of business, taking care of the physical health, not just your skin, your teeth, dentistry, eye, mental health. What kind of antidepressants do we use? Sunlight, sleep, movement, weight training. That's our antidepressants. That's the one that's going to make you have a better life. Believe me, if you haven't already adopted a disciplined, habitual program of exercise, weight training, and start today. Start from where you're at. Don't get in that philosophy and concept. Well, I never did it, so it's too late now. What good is it at our age? I don't care if you're 70, 80, or 90. Get your ass in the gym. I command you, just because I know the benefits you're going to reap when you sow that habit, a regular exercise program. And don't get into that mindset of, I'm not going to spend 3 hours a day in the gym. You don't. If you worked out with weights, right, regular, progressive, resistant exercise, 3 days a week, 45 minutes, the health benefits for you would be probably double or triple where they are now. I'm telling you, they say, exercise is not going to overcome a terrible diet. Well, when you start exercising regularly, you're just going to feel obligated in a certain way to start eating better. And man, is it easy to eat a great amount of nutrient dense foods, right? Staying away from chemically altered oils and sugars. And you'd be surprised. I don't want to say go zero carbs, but once you get fat adapted, then you can burn carbohydrates. Carbohydrates low, and if anything, do some intermittent fasting or fast once in a while, because once your body realizes, okay, I'm not going to get any carbohydrates, it will become metabolically flexible to the point that it can burn fat for energy, and your liver will create ketones for your brain, and then your cells will do what they call autophagy. They'll say, "Oh, we're not getting any food right now. This is a good time to clean house. Let's get rid of the toxins out of our cells. Let's clean it up, and then get ready to be more vigorous and to take in nutrients." See, when you become insulin resistant by having too much glucose in your system, your cells shut down, and then it won't open the door. When insulin comes in to open the door for nutrients, it'll shut it down. So that's what insulin resistance is. But unless you burned out your pancreas and you got to take insulin, you can turn it around with diet and exercise. And you can actually become insulin sensitive. That's what you want to do. All right, everybody. Hey, listen, subscribe to the channel. You're in the right place. Let me know where you're at in the comments. Interact with the channel here, just you and me. I want to know where you're at. I'm leaving Cocoa Beach. I am now in Satellite Beach. And I'm getting ready to go right past the Space Force base. And so, oh man, they're actually flying some big birds today. I see them taking off here. And so I'm at Satellite Beach, Florida. I'm on the east coast of Florida, kind of centrally located, south of Cape Canaveral by 25 miles. That's why we can see all the launches, because we're only 25 miles south of Cape Canaveral, where all the launches take place. The beach is right there. And this part of Satellite Beach, the Indian River is right there. So it's so narrow. This part of the barrier island is so narrow. I can tell you right now, it's less than half a mile wide. I'm looking at the intercoastal waterway right there. And then I have the ocean right here. So this barrier island, in most cases, it's not wider than 2 miles wide, which I like. I like having both waterways close to me. So you can actually be part of a boating community, and then you can be part of the ocean community, the beachside community. It's really great here. I did visit Sarasota, Naples, on the west coast of Florida, Fort Myers, a couple of months ago, and I liked the west side. That was nice. But I really like the east side. I like that we have surf here. I like that it's right where I'm at right now, so much less crowded. Even when it's heavily, it's snowbird season, they call it, which is still right now. This is kind of the end of snowbird season. People are heading back north. But even during heavy snowbird season and spring break, not much traffic around here. It's really nice. So the same house here that you could get for $700,000, same house in Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach would be $2.5 million. And so people come up here and they think, wow, look what I'm getting for my money. And it's really great. Now, I mean, this is not really, it's kind of subtropical, but it's not the tropical South Florida weather. So it does get chilly for about a month in January. But then you get back into February and you're okay, 68 to 72. And then, of course, it starts heating up big time as we hit May. So right now it's going to be 80 degrees today. Good times here in Florida. If you haven't already, move here. For me, made a big difference. Me and my wife, because no state income tax. As soon as we left Florida, we had an extra $800 in our checking account because all the money that originally went to the state of California now just goes into your bank account. Kind of amazing. And then taxes wise, your property tax, well, unlike California, it changes quite a bit. But you can homestead your home here. And so the first $50,000 of your home is not taxed. So hypothetically, if you had a $100,000 home, you'd be paying property taxes on $50,000. So there's some amazing things here. And now gas prices here, I think, they're still over $4 right now. But, you go to California, it's going to be $6, $7 a gallon. So it's just a great way of life here. Now, of course, I leave in May towards my island in upstate New York. So when it gets really hot, I'm gone. But I'll tell you, October to May in Florida is just perfect weather. Last summer, I had to come back in July, and holy shit. I don't sweat, and I was dripping wet just walking down the street a mile. Crazy. All right, everybody. I hope you're doing well. My channel is all about positivity. Not just positive thinking, but positive doing. It's more about discipline, mindsets, right? You can have mindset, skill set, and then habit force. And then your life will be on an upward trajectory that you won't believe. You won't believe all the great things that are going to happen for you. And it's going to be pretty amazing. You're going to say, wow, what a coincidence. No, it's not. You have developed a mindset and a skill set that you married with a habit force that's going to be creating great things in your life. Man, you have a choice to live on purpose, with intention. I am telling you, it's exciting. All I know is what I did. I changed, and then things began to change for me. And then I realized, oh, wow, I'm my biggest problem and my biggest solution. Double-sided coin. Why is that exciting? Because that's the one person that I have control over. We only have one person who can stop us from anything in this life, and that's ourselves. Sad? No. Great. Exciting. Because that's the one person we have control over. A lot of people just want to float around in life. I don't. As you get older, most people naturally start to come to grips with their own mortality. And then hopefully that provides a sense of urgency in what they're doing. They live a more intentional life, even if that intention is only to be a better grandparent to the grandkids, a better mother, father, son, or daughter. And, you start to really value life uh, every day in every way. Now, of course, I started this 35 years ago. I'm glad I did. And then 35 years ago, I became a Christian and got better and better. Regardless of what your religious beliefs are, you will come to realize as you get older how you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and you're not a human being having a spiritual experience. It's really the other way around. And once you grasp that, you're going to be opening up your mind to the possibilities in front of you. You'll appreciate your great memories behind you. You won't be living so much in the past. You'll try to enable and put into place the great wisdom and knowledge that you have learned through your years of accumulated wisdom and knowledge, and you're going to more readily put it into practice. Well, you can see the intercoastal here. You got the Indian and Banana Rivers on the intercoastal waterways, which is kind of amazing, right? That you can actually put a boat in the water here, and you can drive it. You can drive it all the way to my island in the Thousand Islands. A lot of people do what they call the Great Loop. And the Great Loop is this. They actually drive all the way up the east side intercoastal waterway into the Great Lakes, right through New York, Erie Canal, and then they come down through the Mississippi, into the Gulf of Mexico, down around the tip of Florida, Key West, and come right back around. It's called the Great Loop. People do it sometimes 9-10 months because they keep doing it. And then some people do sections, or they might take 2 or 3 years to do it. I don't have any interest in doing that. But hey, things change. All right, everybody, subscribe to the channel. It's a community of progress here. All of us here. You can be one of them. We are dedicated, committed, every day in every way, getting better than we were yesterday because we have the power to do it. No excuses. No blaming. What can we do right now, today, to have the best life possible? Today is what we have. We have today. And I got to pay attention to my exit off of here, off of Pineda Causeway. Now that I'm on the mainland side of Melbourne now. And so there's Melbourne Beach on the beach side, then there's City of Melbourne, then there's West Melbourne. You really have 3 cities of Melbourne. Kind of crazy. But, as you get to an area, we've been here 6 years now. After 6 years, you get to know the area pretty good. It's funny, I remember now the first images kind of being here the first 6 months, and how, the first 6 months, you're a little discombobulated, right? You're a little fish out of water. You don't have your bearings yet. I mean, you got north, south, east, and west. That's about it. I mean, you pretty quickly realize where you are in position to the rest of the country, the rest of the state. And then as you focus on local streets, right, you start habitually traveling certain places, you get to know the area better. All right, everybody, maybe I can acknowledge you at this light, everybody. Thanks for checking in. I'm glad you're here. South Africa, how are you? You will have a better life by getting rid of Trump. Well, that could be. We will wait and see how that goes. It's good to pay attention to what's going on for sure. Politically, good to pay attention, good to learn. But we don't want to spend a lot of time there. Why? That's one of the areas that is out of our control, except for voting, or if you want to get politically active. Otherwise, we kind of have to intentionally check in, pay attention, what's going on in the world. I want to be knowledgeable. I want to be able to know who's running, what our government's doing, what's happening in the world today, locally, regionally, nationally. But those of you over 65 can remember a time, right? We only had 3 channels on our television. And you know when we got news? 6 o'clock at night. We lived our life, right? Every day, all day. And then at 6 p.m. was when the news came on to find out what was going on, right? World news, local news, national news, and then sports and weather, all in 30 minutes. And then we were caught up, and then we went back to living our lives. A lot of times we watch, then at night we would relax, watch a soap opera and laugh, and then get ready for the next day when we would be working to make money for our family and enjoy life. It was a real simple time. Yeah. And so now we're in a 24-hour news cycle where we can really have in our face all the problems and disasters of the world. Definitely more than the good part, because that doesn't sell. And believe me, I'm going to marry this with another concept. Having been a cop for 35 years, stand-up comedian, right, an actor, so, interacting with different cultures, right, the police world and culture, the acting world and culture, working in and out of those areas. Yeah, I can tell you that 24-hour news cycle, I can just tell you my channel. First of all, knowing what I know, I could say some real inflammatory things that would stir people up, that would invite a strong reaction. And that would only help my channel, because the more people interact and leave comments, hateful or not, the more my videos would be shown to other people. So let me tell you, it's a kind of a struggle, just like in the news game. If they just gave you a lot of good news, you know what? Blood sells, right? Death and blood. That keeps people looking. Just like a beautiful set of flowers along the roadway. But hey, a crash with bodies laying all over, people are going to stop driving to see that. That's why you got shows like Forensic Files. People love that. They want to look at murder and bodies and blood. Having been a cop, I don't really like to look at that stuff anymore. So, but my channel's about positivity, self-improvement, personal growth. And so the amount of channels that grow big in those arenas are not too many. There's a few, but not too many people have that interest, really. And so that doesn't matter. I'm not changing my game, because even when I was in the crime game, when I was in the cops and robbers game, when you're a cop, during your career, you're faced with about 400 to 600 traumatic incidents. And a regular citizen is going to be confronted with 4 to 5 in their lifetime. So a lot of cops in their retirement are still suffering from a PTSD thing. I really are. Now, I've seen a lot of murder and terrible things in my LA County Sheriff career. Now, what has saved me has been my stand-up comedy career, my humor, the amount of friendships that I have who are outside of the police culture, staying physically fit, really working out has been the best antidepressant that I can imagine. And, it doesn't matter how you start or where you are. If you haven't already, start habituating a regular exercise program. And so other than that, though, and you can be a part of it. The channel is growing exponentially. It is growing. The podcast is growing as I connect with more people and keep putting out positive content. And, most stuff, even by the big names, the big channels, they're sharing great things of great value, but most of them aren't, they're not original. They've taken them from other areas and places and people. Now, when I do that, I always give credit. Hey, this is where I heard this. This is where I got this. I tried it. This is the results I've got. Why don't you try it? Maybe you'll get the same or similar results or better. But I never go saying, hey, look at what I did. This is what I found. Well, it is things that I have found out. But it's definitely saved me from suffering from PTSD or depression or any of the, hey, however, life happens. And I've gone through a tremendous winter in the last year. But I've learned how important it is to feel the full range of our emotions. That's important. And if you feel sad or depressed or in despair, a lot of times we have good reason to feel those things. So don't cover them up with drugs and or alcohol or not want to. You can't help it. But the important thing to realize is it's episodic. Man, I'm going through something terrible right now. Yeah, you're going through it and you're going to get through it. Now, the problem is when we're in the middle of it, it seems like it's going to be like this forever, right? Just like when things are going great. Things have gone great for me so many years in a row. And so you start to think they're always going to go great. This is what I'm doing. I'm keeping a healthy mind, body, soul, friendships, and I'm doing the right things. It will always be great. No, 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 no. Then life will slap you in the face. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. We're going to get punched in the face. And we don't want to focus on the fact that we're going to get punched in the face, right? Bad shit's going to come our way. I'm sorry to say. We can't avoid it altogether, but we can't avoid creating it on purpose. We can do things to mitigate those terrible things. Hey, I made it back here to Melbourne in my second home here, right? Because of going through a divorce. Terrible thing to go through. It caused me great despair. But what do? You do the next right thing, the next best thing. What can I do right now? Right? Instead of ruminating on the past, right? And getting in that loop, what can I do to mitigate ruminating on those thoughts? I can do it by changing my state. That's one of the best things that you can learn to do on a constant basis. And there's only 3 things you need to do to change your state. And, sometimes we don't have to change it immediately. Like I said, sometimes you're sad, going through despair for some good reason. Maybe somebody's died, divorce, bankruptcy, something's happened, catastrophic. Wow, I feel so sad. And well, you should feel sad sometimes. But, we don't have to sit in it for a long period of time. We can move through it. How do we do that? You know how to change your state, right? I talk about it all the time. Listen, change your physiology, how you're moving your body. Change your focus. What are you focusing on? Change your self-talk. What am I saying to myself? Remembering, conscious mind can accept or reject. Subconscious mind cannot. That's why your subconscious hears what you're putting into it. And it only searches for the answer. It doesn't argue with you. If you're if you're asking this question, why am I so screwed up? Why am I such an idiot? Your brain starts to look for a reason. Well, here's why. Change the question. What can I do now? What's great about this? What is good about this? Now your mind will look for that answer. It doesn't argue with you and say there's nothing great about this. No, it searches for the answers to your question. That's why one of the most important things we can do in life is change your questions. All right, everybody. You know what? By encouraging you, empowering you, I'm empowering myself. And actually, no one's your guru. All you can do is take what you see, learn, and then you can incorporate it. You are your own guru. All right, everybody. You know I love you. Isn't it great? Connected with some people in South Africa. I often talk about this. When I was a kid, I loved filming with my dad's Super 8mm movie camera. And, you know, I had to take the film to get it developed. And then after 7 to 10 days, I got it back. And then I fed it into a projector and I was able to show, you know, my neighbors and friends and family. Now I can turn on the camera and actually broadcast to the world. Never been a better time to be alive, everybody. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel.